All right, Nick, let's talk about the LSU Tigers. We have a very interesting story today, something a little bit outside of the norm, talking about how LSU has been so innovative over the last few years, kind of in a way to draw in the highest level of recruits, the highest level of transfers. And I think some of the information we give the fans today will tell you just how hard LSU has been working to make themselves, as we can see in 2023, Nick, the number one transfer portal destination in all of college football, number one ranking in transfer portal, and a top five overall ranking for recruits and transfers as well.
Yeah, Miles, I think what we're seeing is the fruits of an excellent strategy, really brilliant strategy from the LSU Tigers. I think there's a great report that you dug up. But before we get into that, LSU fans got a question for you guys to answer in the comment section below. Look, this is obviously one of the blue blood programs in all of college football history. A lot of great star players have played at LSU, but we're going to focus not on the stars, but on the grinders, the guys who put in the time and the effort and really were the backbone of the LSU program. Give us an example of one of those guys who really wasn't the top of the line guy, but really was a hard worker, tough guy, team leader who you really appreciated. Give us your favorite LSU Tiger grinder. And a little clue here, one of the guys in the story, involved in the story, is probably number one on this list. But give us your guy in the comment section below. But all right, Miles, I'll throw it back to you now. What do you have out of LSU?
Yeah, Nick, let's go back about 4 years ago. Very close to this very time right now. We are in July. This was late July, now early July. LSU Athletics cut the ribbon on their new football operations and performance nutrition center. Huge investment by Scott Woodward and co., LSU's athletic director, making them one of the most innovative and, forefront as far as locker rooms go. I've seen the tour of the locker room, absolutely incredible. Nick, this is a $28 million investment to a near 25,000 square foot facility that I think really brings out how innovative LSU has been. But not only the locker room there, was it, Nick? We talked about their performance nutrition center. They have all of the greatest foods, all of the things you could ever have wanted as, a young football player coming in to feed your body, to make you the best player available. These are the kind of things that LSU thinks about, the big picture, Nick. All of the shiny things to get the best recruits in here. But that's not always what it's about. Sometimes, if you can do even the littlest things right, Nick, it will make people want to come into this school, and you get even free advertisement at the highest level of football. And I'm talking today, Nick, about something as small as fitting your pads right to a player. And we're going to get into the story here. I think this is a really interesting one as well. This is from WBRZ. It says, I don't know any LSU player that doesn't play in LSU pads. That was former LSU Tiger legend Jacob Hesser speaking about players in the NFL, saying that he doesn't know any LSU player that doesn't wear their LSU pads at the next level. So the LSU equipment office is a gallery of gear featuring hundreds of shoulder pads, everyone special and unique to their own individual player. Director of LSU equipment Greg Stringfellow said the meticulous process of getting guys fitted makes these pads the most comfortable piece of equipment. He said the purple and gold pad is something we've been doing for a long time now, Stringfellow explained. We try to custom fit the pads to the guys' bodies, and that perfect fit goes a long way back, all the way back to 2018, Nick. We can talk about Leonard Fournette, who raves about his pads. He says, I feel more comfortable in my college pads. NFL pads are sometimes too wide, too big, too heavy, Fournette explained. The comfortability is great, but Stringfellow takes it a step further. Every player has the opportunity to bring their pads back to LSU and get them reconditioned every season. Maybe one of your buckles or one of the screws or something comes loose and it's just not quite right, said Hester. He said they will actually recondition for those pads for you each year and send them back to you so you can play with them in the NFL. Now, Nick, if that isn't customer service, I don't know what is. LSU is doing all of the little things right. And now we can see here, Nick, you even get a little bit of shine on game day in the NFL. We see Leonard Fournette here in his LSU pads. You see that little pop of purple and gold sticking out from under his shoulder. What do you think about this, Nick? What does this mean to you? There's a lot to unpack here.
So I think the most important thing to understand here is that when we talk about these college athletes and really pro athletes too, we kind of usually grade them as almost like the video game, like who is the best players on a 1 to 100 scale and something to that effect. But these are in fact human beings. And the reality is the more comfortable that a human being is in their pads and their equipment and their gear, the better they're going to play on Saturdays, or if they play on a Sunday or Friday or Thursday, whenever they play. And I think that's exactly what LSU recognized. And it sounds so simple, right? It's like, why isn't every major program doing this? But a lot of people really forego this kind of things. Look, this is just, I played at a D1 AA school, as you're very well aware of the fact. We didn't care about pads and equipment at all. We had really crappy used stuff at times. Not that our equipment team didn't put in a lot of effort, but it just wasn't just something the athletic department and the coaches ever cared about. And everyone that I've talked to that's played at the highest level at, SEC Division 1A kind of stuff, they say the same thing. It's almost an afterthought. They'll spend all this money on the facilities. They'll have all this money on food. They have all these, amenities in terms of their lounges and stuff and player facilities and things like that. But they don't put the time into the pads. And it really does matter. Being comfortable, being secure, feeling like everything is right where it needs to be is such an important part to the mindset of these players. And having having that mindset right on game day is huge. Like they always say, you feel good, you play good. And that is a huge part of playing. I know a lot of people wish it wasn't, but that's just the reality of what it's like. But I also want to focus on the fact that this is just another in the long line of events of LSU doing whatever it takes to win. And the reality is in the SEC, and especially the SEC West, it is brutal and it is brutally close. A lot of talented players, a lot of talented coaches, a lot of big money in the programs. I mean, the difference between Alabama, LSU, and and Auburn and all these traditional blue bloods is about that much in terms of just recruiting capabilities, in terms of overall talent, in terms of boosters and all that kind of things. You have to be willing to go and overturn every single rock to find any advantage you can have legally. And this is just another example of LSU doing that. I think it's really smart. I think we're seeing the benefits of that in the recruiting game. You talk about the transfer game. How about the fact this probably helps players from transferring out as well? Don't undersell that. It really matters. This kind of stuff really does matter. I think LSU is once again on the forefront of understanding what it means to be, you talk about customer service, servicing your players to put them in positions to be successful. Because in reality, that's all an athletic department, that's all a coaching staff has to do, is put their players in positions to be successful. Get good guys in the building, let them be successful, win football games. It's that simple, and that's exactly what LSU is doing.